Hey guys, welcome to discussion 2, week 3 of our public law class. Today I'm going to be talking about the 3 different ways you can interpret the Constitution. I'd like to thank you before anything for watching my video. All right, so one of the ways that you can interpret the Constitution is through textualism, which focuses strictly on the plain meaning of the words in the document, right? So, one section is no person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years. It is what it is, right? 30 years, if you're not that age, you can't be a senator. There's no misconstruing those words, right? So there is also modernism, which is a living constitution approach, which pretty much we see in Earl Warren, which is one of the most transformative eras of the U.S. in terms of the way the Constitution was interpreted. And in that, pretty much document isn't just a document, right? It's a piece of paper that grows as society and our cultural and societal norms grow. Um, and yeah, one of his biggest things was when Separate but Equal came out in Plessy versus Ferguson, I believe. Um, he then went on was like, separate can never be equal, right? And this is where we get our 14th Amendment, for, of course, Brown v. Board. Um, and then we have originalism. And this meaning is pretty much the meaning is fixed in the time that it was written and it should not be changed over time. And through this, we look at dictionaries in 1787 or even Federalist Papers to define and understand how due process or arms could have been defined. So that way, we're not using what we think now, but using the context of what they used then. And this is a great way to help prevent judges from making their own rules or their own opinions on how law, constitution should be interpreted, right? To then make them look back at how the founding fathers would have wanted it and would have wanted to interpret it from their time as well. Um, for me, I've got a little bit of beef with originalism because it's supposed to be where the meaning was fixed in the time that it was written, but even some of the core fundamental rights that we have as people in our society, if you want to look at due process, right? It's changed from what it was even then, right? Due process was interpreted as a formal commencement of legal action. That was it. Someone gets served a writ and they have to go to court for it. That's kind of what it was then, but due process has evolved for more than just that now, and we have substantive and we have procedural. So procedural is pretty much how the government acts. And before they can take your life, liberty, or property, they have to provide a notice and a hearing. And even the word property, it's expanded from more than just being physical objects that we hold and can actually physically, hold in our hands. It's been where benefits, I guess, that someone's receiving from maybe social services or something. Property, stocks that someone has as well. Just because it's intangible doesn't mean it's no less yours. And substantive is pretty much what the law can't do, right? Some laws are so fundamental that there's no process and there's no paperwork that can take it away. They're part of our liberty. And one of those ways that we see it is in Griswold versus Connecticut, which gives us our right to conception, or not conception. I'm sorry, contraception. And there's no one way to interpret the Constitution, right? It's about a balance. You can't just have one way and then not use the others. With modernism, the Constitution wouldn't be interpreted for how the founding fathers, why they created it, which was to get away from a monarchy. If we don't look back to the past, in some ways, I'm sure we're doomed to repeat it. So modernism isn't perfect. You can't just use that. Originalism, again, you can't use just that. Things evolve, time evolves, law evolves. It's ever changing, right? And even with textualism, you can't just focus on just the plain meaning, because some words were deliberately left to be obscure because I'm sure in some way that they knew that the world wasn't going to be what it was as it was for them, you know. So yeah, there's no one way to interpret the Constitution. No way is really wrong. Again, it's just about a balance, right? Thank you, and have a good night.